Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Allison with Green Goddess Plants and Seeds, and welcome to a garden chat. So summer is over, it's summer's end. It's a cold, gray, damp October day. I'm at home in the city here at my place, and I've got a bunch of saved seeds that I need to deal with. I've got some that are still in containers that need to be drained and left out to dry, and I've got others that are dry and need to be packaged up into envelopes. So I know yesterday at the farm there was the odd snowflake trying to come down, and Glenn was busy trying to make sure the last of the stuff was put away. Like he was draining all the tanks, all the pumps, hoses, everything, all that kind of things, and making sure everything was put away for winter. I think we still have to do a few tidying up things, but basically the garden is done. So yeah, it was a hard year for the garden. Back in May, it was okay. It was a little bit cool, but it wasn't super hot. I know as the last few years we've had really super hot weather at the beginning of May, and then it would get cold, and it sort of did that, but not to the same degree. I know we had our plant sale on the May long weekend and then the weekend following, and it was cold, it was super windy, like really, really windy. Like it just did a number on most of our plants. Like it was just horrible. And then June, it was cold and it was rainy. And so, you know, I tried planting out cucumbers and a few other things, onions. I think the onions did okay, but obviously the cucumbers didn't. Even Glenn was having trouble getting his field crops in because it was so cold and so wet, and he was of course plagued with breakdowns, which don't help at all when you're already stressed out. So yeah, it was a tough year, like I said. So pretty much, like I had thought we had lost all of our cucumber plants. Like I thought they had all died. I even tried direct sowing some seed. They didn't come up because the ground was so cold and so wet that they just rotted. So we took a chance, and I started some more cucumbers late. We put them in the ground right at the beginning of July, like on the 1st of July or the 2nd of July, something like that, when it had finally warmed up. So they were very, very late going in, and so very, very late producing. And then I was in the process of doing that when I noticed that this area where we had our slicing cucumbers, there was actually some life there and there was a plant blooming. So we got busy and we weeded, and we saw that, okay, there's actually, the slicing cucumbers actually survived the cold weather. The pickling ones did not, but that first planting of slicers did. So we ended up with a great harvest, a fantastic harvest of slicers. Almost had too many. It was crazy. Like it was just nuts how many slicers we had. Of course, you know, the biggest cash crop is the pickling, right? Because people want to make pickles. Like slicing cucumbers sell really good too most of the time, but it's the pickling that everybody's looking for. So yeah, so we didn't actually get any pickling cucumbers till almost September. And thankfully we did not get any frosts until the beginning of October, which meant we did get some pickling cucumbers picked. Of course, because it was so late, they didn't produce as much as we would have liked, but we still got some, and that made us happy. So yeah, cheers to that. And then our green beans, we had about 2 or 3 plantings of green beans, and most of them didn't come up. The last 2 rows that did come up, we ended up losing at least half to cutworms. So yeah, it was a tough year because beans also sell really well, especially the yellow beans, because there's lots of people who pickle the yellow beans, or they make yellow mustard beans, that kind of thing. So that was heartbreaking to see that we lost a good chunk of our beans. So yes, we have to change up what we're doing. Our sweet corn, we planted 2 varieties really early. We tried to pick ones that do have the cold soil tolerance, so that maybe we could get away with planting them early. One variety came up, the other one didn't. So we had to replant that one. And then we had 4 other varieties that we planted, and they just took forever. It was so dry in July and August. Like, we did not get enough rain and we were trying to irrigate the corn, but it was getting to be too much between trying to water everything else as well as the corn. It was just, oh my God. we just weren't set up for that. So the corn didn't actually start producing anything until September, which is again too bad, because you want that corn, that sweet corn, for as early as possible, basically, because the Meadow Lake Farmers Market is pretty much dependent on a lot of lake traffic during the summer months. And by that last weekend of August, that lake traffic is done. I mean, we still sold all of the sweet corn that we picked and harvested. We sold it all. But it would be nice if we could get it maturing a lot earlier. So I always kind of mentioned to Glenn that, we need to start picking varieties that have the earliest maturity date possible, because otherwise it's just not going to work. we need to have that early crop. And we're also looking at putting down mulch. You can get a clear biodegradable mulch, which is what a lot of the big sweet corn growers use to get their early crops. And they have, mind you, they have the equipment to the mulch layer that will lay the mulch and plant the seed, lay the mulch, and then put the dirt on top of the mulch so it doesn't blow away. We don't have that. Right now we're doing everything manually by hand, so it makes it tough. But it would be nice to be able to get something like that, even a small one, to do a single row at a time. That would be nice. But it's it's challenging. It was just the way the year went. So it was, June was wet and cold, and then July and August were dry and hot, so not enough rain. We got a little bit, but not enough. So even the field crops suffered. Glenn had a hell of a time. Like in June, there were 2 fields that he never even got seeded because they were too wet. And then when the wheat and the canola needed rain, it didn't come. So it was a disappointing year. Even our honey production with the bees, like, we don't have a lot of hives. We have maybe 50 hives. But even the honey production was down because there just wasn't the canola. Basically, the super hot weather basically finished off the canola flowers earlier than what should have happened. And so, yeah. Tough year, but right now I've got some seeds that I've saved that I need to get packaged up. One thing about, we did have that beautiful weather in September where it was frost-free right up until, I think we didn't actually get any frost till almost right at the beginning of October, which is unusual. That's unusually late for us. But it did allow us to have a nice tomato harvest, and we did sell quite a few green tomatoes. I mean, they still take a long time to ripen. And a lot of what we sold was green tomatoes, but we did have some nice ripe ones to take to market. I know we want to try a few different techniques next year. Again, if we can get some mulch, like the biodegradable mulch, it is a lot more expensive than regular mulch, but if it's made out of cornstarch, so it just disintegrates right over time in the environment. So that's what that's what we would like. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. Because one of the things we might do is get some, again, if we want to tomatoes specifically for the market, then we do need to have those early maturing varieties, basically. And I'm thinking we might try the technique where if we get, you know, the determinate varieties will mature faster and they mature all at once. So if we do that, like our season's too short to have more than one planting of tomatoes. Like it just doesn't work. But even if we have one planting of, you know, a determinate variety that ripens all at once, and I've seen the technique where you don't stake them, where you just let the plants lay on the ground. I think we could probably do that. We might maybe space the plants out a little farther apart so you don't have a big mass of vines to try and crawl through. I think that would work. I don't think it would be any more time consuming, because you would just go out there and, because I wouldn't have to spend the time trying to clip them, right, to trying to, you know, attach them to their supports, which would be a time saver. I mean, I would still have to do that if I want to do my weird and wonderful varieties, as I call them, my heritage varieties and my open pollinated. They're a little bit different. So yeah, but there we go. It's my upstate oxheart. It's a really, upstate oxheart is a big, huge, enormous oxheart tomato. Big, beefy, beautiful tomatoes. It's done, and then I can. So when I save my seeds, when I lay them out to dry, I use cloth napkins. I never use paper towel because they stick horribly to paper towel, and then I just pull them off, and then the cloths and then I can throw in the wash and reuse them, and they're done. So in terms of tomato varieties, like I said, the upstate oxheart is awesome. I loved it. It was probably one of the only varieties that didn't get the blossom end rot. We had 3 sections of tomatoes. The first section got the most attention because it was the closest to the pump and to the hoses. There was a little bit of blossom end rot in that section. Not very much though, because I think I was a little more attentive at getting it watered. The second section, the middle section, was pretty much ignored for the first month or so. Like it never got attended to because we were so busy trying to do everything, all sorts of other things, including planting the garden. So it suffered. I tried to give it some attention, but it was too late. So that section had a lot of blossom end rot, a lot. I was disappointed with it. But the oxhearts were planted in that section, as well as the San Marzanos. And the San Marzanos were the only other ones that did not get the blossom end rot. I was very happy and impressed with that. So, you know, there's a reason why the San Marzanos are on everybody's grow list. All right, so this next seed that I've got is Arbogast. It's a big, meaty beefsteak. Big, huge, nice red tomato. Other tomatoes, some I was impressed with. There's some that I probably won't grow again. You know, I have seeds for a Wild Boar Farms variety called Blue Gold. So it has I thought they would be bigger than what they were, and they weren't. They were actually like, I don't know if you want to call them small slicers, I guess. They weren't as big as I thought they would be. And I also have seed for this one, the Boss Blue Bumblebee. And they're pretty much identical. They looked exactly the same. There wasn't a lot of difference in them. And I don't think I'll grow either one of those again because neither one of them had any flavor. I was disappointed. They looked beautiful. They're a beautiful looking tomato, absolutely gorgeous. But they were very bland tasting, and I don't know. I don't know if I'd grow them again because of that. I mean, it's one thing to have a beautiful tomato, but if it doesn't taste very good, what's the point? You know, I mean, I grow them to eat them. I grow them to use in the kitchen and to eat. So if it doesn't taste nice, then there's kind of no point in growing it, right? So what else happened? We had really nice, the sweet aperitif outperformed our expectations again, as our favorite cherry tomato, the sweet aperitif. The ones that I put in ground did better than the ones in the pots. So we'll be growing a lot of those more next year. We might just do like a whole entire row of just the sweet aperitif for the market garden, because they're sweet, they had lots of flavor, they produced well, and people bought them. People really liked them. So there's that. I also grew the Rapunzel cherry tomato last year, or this past summer, and I was not impressed with it. I did not like the way it tasted. Unless they were absolutely dead ripe or a little bit overripe, they were horrible tasting. And even when they were ripe, they had some sweetness, but they just didn't taste nice to me. Another one that I was disappointed with was the blue goldberries. They were a tiny little cherry tomato with yellow with the blue anthocyanin. It's another Wellbore Farms variety, and I wasn't overly impressed with the flavor of that one either. Mind you, I think some cherry tomato, not all cherry tomatoes are sweet, so maybe that was my issue. I was expecting a sweet tomato, and it wasn't. I know I've also grown, what's the other one? My memory escapes me now. What was the other one that I had? Blueberries, that's it, blueberries. This is another, I think this is actually a Wellbore Farms one as well, the blueberries. And this is not a sweet cherry tomato. It is quite tart. Unless it's overripe, it might have some sweetness, but this is a rather tart tasting cherry tomato. And some people don't want sweet tomatoes. They prefer the tomatoes with a little more acidity, a little more tartness, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so yeah, that's the garden. The garden has been put to bed for the winter. I'm just doing some last minute things like clearing up all of my saved seeds. I'm hoping to put some up for sale. I know I was trying to figure out a website to put them on. I was going to try Etsy. I do have the account and the page for Etsy, but I was having trouble with connecting with my bank account. I need to revisit that. Apparently I didn't add it. I obviously made a mistake in entering the information, so it didn't work. So I have to look at that again. I know Glenn uses Shopify, which is okay. They nickel and dime you to death for every usability, every feature that makes it more user friendly. You have to pay for it through the nose. And every few months they change stuff, and not necessarily in a good way. And they still expect you to pay a small fortune to use their product. And it's just, I know Glenn's frustrated with it. I know we moved, when it comes to our point of sale, when we're at the market, he's moved away. He still has the Shopify account and he still has the website. But in terms of our point of sale at the markets, he's moved to a different one, which is way user friendly, which does not actually require an internet connection. We can actually use it without. And then when we get back home where he has the internet, it just uploads all the information. So definitely more user friendly. I think it's called Mobi. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him about that. But way more affordable, much better usability features on it than Shopify. So we're happy with that. It took me a long time to get used to it though. I was so used to the Shopify, and Mobi was just like, oh my God. But no, it's all good. I like it now that I've gotten used to it. I actually do like it. So there's that. So yeah, I'm hoping, like I said, to maybe get some seeds up for sale. Our packaging is very simple. Like I said, I just use the brown coin envelopes. We do put a printed label on it so that you can actually read it with some information. But my packaging is very simple. At least I know there are lots of seed savers. They still handwrite on their envelopes what it is. So I mean, fancy printed envelopes are expensive. So, and right now we don't have a lot of free cash kicking around to spend on packaging. So we're just take it as it comes. We will be busy this fall still with lots of fall and Christmas markets. We've got one coming up this weekend. I think it's on Everything Under the Sun market, and it's kind of a day and a half. Like, it starts Friday night. I think it's 6 till 9, and then it goes Saturday 10 to 4, I think. So, or 9 to 4. I can't remember. 10 to 4. Anyway, so it's a big market. It's like a day and a half type of event. So Glenn's gonna be spending this week getting caught up on some of the jams and jellies that we're out of. He's gonna be making stuff, and we'll be making stuff all winter long, because there's new recipes that we want to try. Like, we want to make a corn relish, so we'd like to add that to our list of stuff that we do. And then yeah, we're booked in to do markets pretty much every weekend straight up until Christmas. Busy time. You know, the garden might be done, but we're still very busy. So anyway, I thank you ever so much for joining me for this summer's end garden chat. The garden is done. I hope you're having a great week. I hope your week ahead is good to you. If you're still doing a little bit of gardening, awesome, good to you. If your garden's done for the season, cheers. And yeah, until next time, do take care.